Very good. I just want to remind the candidates just to speak up to make sure that everyone can hear you. So we'll start in about 1 minute. Okay, we are ready to go. Another year has gone by and we're back again. I want to thank everyone for being here this evening. Also want to give a shout out to the school helping us set all this up, for GTV for being here this evening, and they'll be recording this. For the Lions Club, who each year help me look good. That's their job. Claire, Jim, Fred, all of you who are here, Steve, thank you very much for everything. So what we're going to do is we'll be calling up the candidates one by one. You will have up to 4 minutes to speak. Jim in the front row has the cards, because sometimes we know it's tough when you're up here speaking, you don't really know how much time has gone by. So unfortunately, you have to watch Jim at times.
Have I got to work for you?
I know. So we can make sure we get through everything this evening. It's great. We've had a lot of candidates show up here this evening, which is fantastic to see that. So I do ask the candidates at the end of the evening, if they can stay, if anyone wants to speak with them one-on-one, more than welcome to. We have the room till about 9:15, 9:30 this evening. So, okay. Are we ready? Oh, and the most important thing, just to let you know, for those of you who are new to this, and for those of you who have done this before, in the RSVPs that I got, I don't want to disappoint anyone. Yes, there will be the joke for the evening. I've already tried it out on a few people. So it's amazing. That's one of the things that candidates do ask me, which is nice. So anyway, well, good luck to everyone. And I'll be calling the names as they're listed in the candidate filings, what Kathy Ball at Town Hall gave me. We'll be going in that order. So first up is Select Board, and the first one to speak will be Mark LeMay.
Forgot to pledge allegiance, I'm going to say it. So good evening, everyone. As it was said, thank you to the school board, thank you to the Lions Club, thank you to everybody who was here. But God bless our country, God bless the USA. We need to stand up and all say the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand up, take your hats off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very, very much, everybody. As it was said, my name is Mark LeMay. I have had 4 consecutive terms for the Select Board in the town of Goffstown. During that time, if you multiply the 4 times the 3 years, it's 12 years that I've been associated with the Select Board. Have I learned a lot? Oh, I sure have learned a lot. Am I learning still a lot? Yes. This is a job that you have to be on your toes, ready to go, and you have to know what's going on. If you don't, you're going to cause some serious commotion and trouble in the town. I'll just leave it at that. So as we start, my education, I'm kind of a hands-on guy. I went to grammar school, went to high school, graduated high school, went in the Air Force for a very short time, and I got married at the age of 18. My wife and I, Denise, who's out in the back over there, we just celebrated 50 years together, being married. Huh? Yeah, you know my age. Yeah, exactly. 68 and counting. Who knows, right? My profession, as I say, I spent, again, 50 years in the fire service. I rose through the ranks as a firefighter, lieutenant, and covering chief for the town of Goffstown. So I'm kind of up to speed, up to date with that. I'm going to just veer off a minute. If you need to know how important it is to have adequate staffing and manning, today was the day. We had adequate manning and staffing in the town of Goffstown. We only burnt the garage. We didn't burn the house. The house is still standing, and with some repairs and times, it'll be pretty much livable again. So I know people, pardon my expression, bitch about taxes, but if you don't have the manpower to do the job, I mean, how can you do the job properly? We relied on mutual aid today from Manchester, Bedford, Ware, New Boston to come to the stations and put the fire out. My experience, as I just said, 12 years currently going as a selectman or select board member. I'm sorry, the correct terminology is select board member for the town of Goffstown. You'll notice I won't say I, it's we. We, the board, work together. We have a good relationship. We try to make sure that we work on behalf of the people for the town of Goffstown and the community. There's no I in this job. We have a 5-man board, and we all work together. We may not all come out with the same 1 minute, oh boy, where do I go from here? But we never come out, we always come out feeling well. Why am I running? I'm running for the people of the town of Goffstown and the people of Pinardville. I want to try to make things good and pleasant to live. I want to have a good community so that we can just basically enjoy the community we live in. Yes, I'm working on taxes. Yes, I'm working on the dam. There are a couple of big projects in town that are coming up. I'm well involved in all of those, and I look for support from everybody in the town when it comes time to do it. Most importantly, if you want to be heard, please get out and vote. That way there your vote can be counted for the town of Goffstown, and we can either make things better or worse. I'm hoping to make it better. I got the sign, time's up. Thank you very much. I'll be here at the end of the night if anybody wants any questions. And my biography is right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right. Thank you, Mark. I did also want to thank Diane, who worked with me on this, to contact all the candidates, and the booklet that she and the library puts out. Great job. Thank you very much for all your help. Okay, next will be Jim Craig.
Do we have to do the Pledge of Allegiance again? No? My name is Jim Craig, and I want to thank the Lions Club and it really, everybody who came out tonight. You know, they say all politics is local, and this is what it looks like. So thank you for coming out. You know, this is my first term. I'm the new guy on the select board. I just completed my first term, and I'm asking for a second term. I have been around, though. Prior to coming in Goffstown 4 years ago, my wife and I moved here, and we love it. I'll tell you that even when I'm not running for something. We love it here. And, you know, prior to that, I've been an attorney in Manchester for about 40 years, 10 years as a state rep in Manchester. And I was the New Hampshire Labor Commissioner for several years. One thing I didn't have 3 years ago was any Goffstown experience. Now I do. And I have to say, looking back at it, at my 3 years, you know, Goffstown is a well-run town. It really is. The people who run the departments, I trust them. My style is not to micromanage, If they need some work, we'll let them know. But, you know, you should really be proud of the people who run this town. So that was a pleasant surprise to me. And since then, I've been on the sewer, the representative of the sewer commission. I've been on the CIP committee and several other things. The library trustee for a year, and I've got to learn the ins and outs of the government in Goffstown. It hasn't always been easy, as Mark said. You know, we work together as a board. We usually vote as one, but not always. And I appreciate that we don't have to. If we don't believe in something, we can do that. You know, and we do. There's been some tough votes that you know that we had to make, but there's been some good things. You know, we had a complete new radio system in the town that you know, for the dispatchers, for police, fire, and we used a federal grant. It was almost what, $1.9 million, and it didn't cost the town any money. And we have a completely state-of-the-art radio system for our town and other towns that pay us to be involved with it. We had to make some tough choices. We said no to the library expansion, although it broke some of our hearts to do so, but just financially it didn't make sense at the time. We've had police negotiations, labor negotiations we've just done. And the other thing is the dam situation. You know, that is going to continue to be an issue that I am particularly concerned with. The one thing that really upset me the most in my 3-year term was having the state come in and tell us that they were taking the dam down, and there wasn't much we could do about it unless we wanted to buy it for $1 and then pay $10 million to repair it. And so I never want to be in that situation again where something is just dropped on us, something that'll change the character of the town. And so I will continue to monitor that with the state reps and the rest of the select board, and I think I'm done. So thank you very much. I look for your vote, and I promise you that I will give you my best for the next 3 years if I'm elected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Just want to note there's a couple candidates who are running for 2 offices. I've already spoken with them. They'll speak for one particular office. They won't be speaking for both. They chose which office they wanted to speak for. So didn't want you to think I'm missing people or passing over people or anything like that. So next up, for Budget Committee, we have Adam Barrier.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As you heard, my name is Adam Barrier, and I'm running for Budget Committee here in Goffstown. To start, I would be remiss not to thank the Lions Club for providing this opportunity to me and to all of my fellow candidates to speak to you guys tonight. Thank you, of course, to Diane and the Goffstown Public Library for all that they do to make that candidate's guide. And thank you to all of you who came out tonight. This sort of civic engagement is just one of the many things about Goffstown that I just love. So my parents first moved to Goffstown 45 years ago when they bought a house in Bernardville, and it's here that I was born and I grew up. I have fond memories of headed up to Bartlett School. I remember well my time at Mountain View was one of those first classes to make its way through that building. I remember riding my bike up to Roy Park and spending hours up there with my friends. I remember hours in the library and that exciting moment when I could finally graduate out of the children's room and head upstairs into the adult section. I remember well what Goffstown was like in the late 80s and the 90s when I grew up here. But I'm not running for Budget Committee because of what Goffstown was. I'm running for Budget Committee because of what Goffstown is and what Goffstown can be. You see, the Budget Committee has a really important role in making recommendations that are fiscally responsible to voters like you. So what does fiscally responsible actually really mean? Well, someone who votes yes on every budget proposal is not fiscally responsible. But neither is someone who votes no on every budget proposal. Every budget proposal deserves to be judged on its merits for what it is, not only in the short term, but as we think about the long-term ramifications of that. It's important to remember that the Budget Committee, in order for it to be successful, members must work collaboratively to make those sort of determinations. And through that collaborative effort, I will work with department heads to evaluate their requests and work with the other Budget Committee members to really truly understand those issues in order to make good recommendations moving forward. For example, this year, I keep thinking there's a warrant article going on the ballot in regards to the pool at Barnard Park. I love the pool. I go to the pool on a regular basis. But as a Budget Committee member, I need to ask questions beyond my personal use to really understand the ramifications of what this means. I need to work with the other Budget Committee members to really understand all of those issues. For example, I think of the many people that use the Parks and Rec summer camp, and the pool is a big piece of that. I would need to know what the effects are going to be on that before I can make any sort of recommendation moving forward, regardless of what I personally use it for. That's what fiscal responsibility looks like, balancing that, thinking in the long term, as well as those short-term ramifications. And I have the experience that proves this. In my current role as the assistant principal at Pelham High School, I work collaboratively with my teachers, my department heads, and other members of the administrative team to create that budget every year that is responsible for the school, that meets our needs as well as respects the taxpayers of that town. I meet with the department heads. I ask them those tough questions. Sometimes I deny their requests, because that's what fiscal responsibility has to look like. I've seen this whole budget process all the way through, from start to finish in this position, from creating it, to bringing it to the school board, to seeing it through to the Budget Committee, the deliberative sessions, and ultimately the voters of the town. And I plan to bring this firsthand experience along with my critical questioning skills to help my neighbors here in Goffstown. That's my goal, and that's what I want to do for you, and that's what I will do for you on the Budget Committee. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I look forward to talking to all of you, and I hope to have your vote on March 12th. Thank you. Sorry, take that away from you.
I need that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, next up is Israel Kerry.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the Lions Club for putting this on, and I'd like to thank the library for putting out the great booklet. My name is Israel Kerry, and I'm running. My name is Israel Kerry, and I'm running for Budget Committee. My wife, my two kids, and I, we moved to Goffstown in January of 2017. I moved to Goffstown because I wanted to raise my kids in a place where I could let them play outside and not worry who they will encounter or what they may find on the ground. Today, my daughter is a sophomore at Goffstown High School, and my son is in the 7th grade at a local charter school. After our first year of living in Goffstown, enjoying all the community has to offer, from the pumpkin regatta to the rail trail, my wife and I thought this just may be our forever home. As of right now, we no longer know if that is still attainable. Between inflation and the increasing property taxes, we are hoping to be able to afford to at least stay here until my kids graduate. In talking with numerous other families, and residents that I know and my wife know, we are not the only ones in this boat. I'm running for Budget Committee because I was raised that when people need help, you stand up and you help them. Right now, there are a lot of people in this town that need relief, and they need help when it comes to spending and the budget. Currently, I work for one of the largest telecommunications infrastructure companies in the United States. I am tasked with managing multi-million-dollar construction projects and the day-to-day operations of all the sites throughout New England. It is my job to hold my contractors accountable and to find ways to save my customers and my company money. It is of the utmost importance in my job to ensure not only the highest safety standards, but we need to follow all federal, state, and local regulations to complete the work in the most efficient ways possible. Sorry, I'm not that great at public speaking. I work with many state and federal agencies as well as numerous local municipalities and emergency service providers whose funding is very limited. And I have a long history of being creative yet practical in finding ways to save money and come in under budget. By being a point person in my industry, I've gained the skills necessary to not only work with everyone, but to be someone who can listen and truly hear the needs of those around me. Right now, that's what Goffstown needs, someone who will listen and who is not afraid to examine every line item of the budget and to find the true necessities of every department our town funds while upholding the standards and services that many of us moved here for. To work closely with every member of the Budget Committee, department heads, and town boards to not only find ways to save the taxpayers' money, but to truly listen to what our departments need, yet hold them accountable, but not to decrease any services the town provides. To me, accountability and true transparency is what is needed for the people of Goffstown, and they need to see it. I will not be an automatic yes, I will not be an automatic no. I believe in making well-informed and educated decisions based off of all the data reviewed and do my best to keep Goffstown's greatest assets, the people, here. Without the people of Goffstown, there is no Goffstown. Thank you.
Thank you, Israel. Next up, Elizabeth DeBrew. Thank you. After 10 years, I should.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Elizabeth DeBrule, and I'm running for Budget Committee. Although I do not currently hold an office in the town, I have been privileged to be very involved in town and school committees in the past. Some of those things have been fun and lighthearted, like I was the co-chair of the 250th committee back in 2011, which was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of, we had parades and parties and scavenger hunts and all sorts of things. But then we also have been honored to be involved in more serious things, like the Budget Committee. I served on the Budget Committee from 2011 to 2017, 2 terms, and for 3 of those years, I was the chair of the committee. I also served 2 years on CIP, the Capital Improvement Program, and like I said, in a variety of other ad hoc committees. When I was on the Budget Committee, I earned a reputation for putting in the research to do the job, for trying to understand all sides of the issues, for really trying to listen to what people were saying, and to come up with creative alternatives. But ultimately, you have to find a position that you're comfortable with and defend it. And that's what I did. My votes were never automatic. I know that that's a phrase that I've already heard kicked around a little bit tonight. And they were never based on political theories, because honestly, political theories often are just wishful thinking. We need to make our decisions based on what is actually happening in our community, and not the way we wish the world would work. I'm running for office because I believe I can help keep the Budget Committee balanced. I'm a political independent. I am not affiliated with either political party. I generally hold moderate views on fiscal matters. I tend to lean to the right. Some people think moderates are mushy, but in today's political climate, it takes real strength of character to stand up to extremism, no matter where it comes from. There's not a person in this room or this town who doesn't think that our taxes are too high. But there's also not a person in this town who doesn't rely on the services provided by our local government. We all want to balance those, and we can do it. We've done it before. But it takes hard work. It takes research. It takes having really difficult conversations. And it also takes a willingness to look at everything. Every line of spending, every program we do. A lot of people want to talk about spending as that is the golden key. We just need to cut down on spending. But when I say look at everything, I mean look at everything. And that includes revenues, because spending is only half of your budget. The revenues are also very important, and they come from a couple different sources, and we need to look at those as well to balance those. So I think I'll probably leave it there. If those of you who know me know that I could talk about budgets for a very long time, but you'd probably all be bored to tears. But I would just say, if you want to learn more about me and my views, I encourage you to visit my Facebook page, Elizabeth DeBrule for Goffstown Budget Committee. It's got extended answers to some of the questions in the library brochure. It's got photos and images. It's also got a little bit of town history, because one of the other things I did was write a book about the history of Goffstown. So I encourage you to go check out that page, and I hope that I will have your support on March 12th. Just took your paper.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, next up is Peter hold on. Grigorakakis. Is that close? All right, I'm done for the night. See ya.
Oh, there we go. I brought my water this time, in case anyone knows how nervous I get talking in front of people. Good evening. My name is Peter Grigorakakis, and I'm running for Budget Committee. I served on Budget Committee from 2017 to 2020. Due to schedule conflicts at the time, I did not run for a consecutive term. I'm now ready to come back and do the work again. What I love about Budget Committee is it combines my affection for problem solving, service, and especially spreadsheets. Simply put, I'm running again because this is work that I like doing for my town. You can learn about my studies in economics and my career as a finance counselor, where I help hundreds of families make important financial decisions for their futures, in the library guide. So please read more about me there. Tonight, I want to set the record about what my values are as a leader, and I want to talk about Goffstown. To start off, we do have people hurting in our community. At Town Deliberative, we heard from folks with real worries about their abilities to stay in their homes because of their property taxes and their rising costs. I know this is true because my friends have said the same thing to me too. This is terrible, and terrible for those going through it, but it's also not good for the town of Goffstown. In terms of taxes, we all benefit with our tax base being varied. If someone's moving out of our town because they can no longer afford it, we need to consider that these residents likely have already sent their kids into our school systems, and their ability to stay in their homes actually can save us money over the long run. Essentially, the longer they can stay in those homes after they've raised their children in our town, the better it is for Goffstown. Albeit there's a lot of other math too, so I won't go into all the math today. With these challenges, we need candidates who bring the right qualities to the table and so Budget Committee can be effective. So what are the qualities that I'm bringing? First, I bring some experience. We need experienced leaders that know the work so we can implement smart cost-saving measures. I honor investments through this community that we've already paid for, and I keep the payer, our residents, in mind at all times. Having done this work, I've learned it's often the minority viewpoints at the table that are the most valuable, so you can come up with creative solutions. Second, I bring a strong work ethic. We have to elect leaders who aren't fatigued with our revenue challenges and who approach our decisions impartially, without set agendas. I expected a lot from our department heads back when I was on Budget Committee. Some of them probably remember. Water time. I'd regularly ask them, administrators and such, for budgeted and actuals from several years back, just for me to go and do my own research. And I would analyze all of that spending so that I could ask important questions the next time we met. Anyone who's served with me will tell you I did my homework before every meeting, and I was prepared to do the work. The final quality I'll discuss is respect. Anyone who served on a municipal board or committee in this town understand the work tonight. Oh man, the time. and they understand that work has to be done together. I'll pause there. Thank you so much. And thank you to every candidate who's here tonight. Seriously, you're all volunteers, okay? So every single one of you, whatever your opinion is, I'm happy to be here with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next up is Dan O'Connell.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Yeah? All right. Hi, my name's Dan O'Connell. I'm one of the fresh faces among a lot of familiar ones. I'm running to become a new member of the Goffstown Budget Committee. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for being here tonight, especially the Lions Club for hosting this event. A little about myself. I've been a Goffstown resident for the last 3 years, a husband to a wonderful woman, a father to a great little boy, and I'm an anomaly. And what I mean by that is I am a millennial that is fiscally conservative. I currently work for a small regional healthcare provider as a corporate accounting manager for the home office. I have 14 years of budgeting experience, most of that coming from my time spent in property management. 10 of those 14 years I spent working on very overly complex development budgets. The amount of time that goes into those development budgets surpasses the normalcy of the everyday budget within property management. As traditionally, budgets are for the development projects are typically take a substantial loan, which is lent based on the costs generated by the accounting team and the executive team for the developer. Each of those line items can vary from a couple $100 million to just a couple $100, But the most complex budget I've ever worked on is a $300 million building constructed over an existing 3-story car garage. As you can imagine, it is not a small feat to execute, and it requires a lot of time and just going over every cost that can be foreseen and not being caught off guard. The need to be accountable for all these costs and the accuracy and make sure that the bids on these jobs do not go over is very important, not only for the development company, but for the lender as well. Should these costs overrun budget, along with exhausting the contingency budget, the rest of the funds come from the development company and and potentially the investors as well. My point being is we, the townspeople, are the lenders, and we hold the town responsible for spreading those funds evenly and making sure that they can be held accountable. It is very important to have the attention to detail and the ability to point out these trends associated with the cost. I want to bring a different approach to the budgeting process and hold more accountability for the department heads, and at the same time work together collaboratively. While I understand that people are afraid of cuts and whatnot, that's not the objective. The objective is to look for ways to budget and budget responsibly. So, let's work together and, go from there. Overall, it's very important to consider the town's needs while being mindful of the citizens and the effect it has on their bottom line. If the pending articles that are passed next month go through, no one's immune to it. Everyone will have to pay these increases. So next month, when you go to the polls, think about the past few years and the trends of the taxes. Know that your opinion and feedback are valued, and be inspired to make a change to better the town and to better your means of living. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Next up is Melanie Renfrew-Hebert.
Bear with me, I'm using technology today. Here we go. I want to thank the Lions Club and the library for their efforts for this event. My name is Melanie Renfrew-Hebert, and I am running for re-election for the Budget Committee. And I am much shorter than the last person. There we go. Can everyone hear me all right? Great, thank you. Again, I'm running for re-election for the Budget Committee. I should also mention that I'm also running for trustee of trust funds, a position I've held for 2 elections previously. And while I'm running unopposed, I would thank you for your vote as a vote of confidence. So again, thank you to the Lions and the library. And I'd also like to thank our friends at GTV who make all of us look really good when we're up here doing this. If you don't know me, my family and I moved here to Goffstown in 2013, so we've been here for 10 years now, which I expect is about a third of the time it'll take for me to feel like part of the regular community, to not be the new person anymore. Until then, my children have grown too, and actually my son is in the back. Raise your hand. Or don't. That tracks. Okay. They're now 8 and 12, and they're in our local school system, and they keep us very busy with activities at the library and other town activities. And Goffstown, while we moved here, for our children, Goffstown is their home. And this is the place where they will grow and hopefully stay and raise families of their own. I'm grateful for myself right now to be using this time of my life to serve and volunteer in my community. I'm running again for the Budget Committee because there's work to be done and because I find that work fascinating. It's given me a tremendous opportunity to learn so much more about our town and its history. I find the responsibility of the Budget Committee as a whole, as I see it, is to be more familiar with the running of our town than our neighbors are. We do this through interacting with department heads, going through budgets, and we do, by the way, go through every single budget line by line. We also have tours of all the facilities and are very aware of the state of some of our infrastructure. We hear about the ability of the town to attract new police officers, firefighters, to keep our critical services running. And these are things that we take very seriously when we're looking at the budgets, to be able to ensure that we're helping support their efforts. So to me, the idea is to keep the balance of the budget, and that's to keep the money and the people in balance at all times. So when I look at our budget process, I look at how is this going to affect the individuals, and every individual, whether they're young, old, working or not working. I have a background in community economic development that helps inform this, and I have a doctorate in community economic development and also a doctorate in policy and an accounting degree. And I hope that I've used these to best serve the town to the best of my ability, and I'm going to ask you here today for your vote in March for Budget Committee. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Next up is Craig Stansfield.
Following Peter's lead here. All right, everybody hear me? Well, good evening. Thank you to the Lions Club. Thank you to Goffstown High School and the library for having this event, and all of you for coming out to see us. My name is Craig Stansfield. I'm running for Goffstown Budget Committee. I'm a husband and a father of two beautiful girls. We've lived here in Goffstown for almost 6 years now. Before that, we lived in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. I'm not a politician. This is my first time running for an elected office. What I am is a combat veteran and currently serving Lieutenant Colonel in the Army National Guard. I have a history of serving the citizens of the United States faithfully, and I'd like to continue to serve my community at the local level. For the last 22 years, I've led diverse groups of people. I've formed teams from individuals of different backgrounds, belief structures, to accomplish common objectives, often under stressful situations. During my 3 combat deployments, I've served in Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Syria, and been trusted with the lives of our nation's sons, daughters, husbands and wives, and even a few grandparents. I bring a broad perspective to the position. I've worked with our NATO allies in Germany, foreign armies in Japan, the Middle East, multiple federal agencies, state and local municipalities over the last 2 decades. Maybe just as important as a broad perspective, I bring a fresh perspective. In addition to my military service, I've been an IT supervisor for the Department of Defense for the last 15 years. During my tenure, I've held multiple roles. I've run multi-million-dollar federal budgets acting as a budget manager, which is equivalent to the town department lead. I've had to prepare, forecast budget requirements, justify critical needs, compete for resources with other departments. I've had to work in constrained budgeting environments, including continuing resolutions and budget cuts. I had to develop a do more with less attitude. These experiences taught me several things. First, anticipating future needs and building a budget in a constrained environment is difficult. It's not impossible. It takes hard work and proper oversight. Second, prioritization and justification are critical. If you can't justify it, you may want it, but you might not need it this year. Finally, when it comes to budgeting, one thing is true. The government's willing to save money no matter what it costs. If you approve a budget, it will be spent. If you place fiscally responsible controls on the budget, and the department heads will find innovative and more efficient ways to manage their resources. In addition to running a budget, I function as a federal budget program director, a position nearly identical to a budget committee member. As a director, I was a member of a council that reviewed budget requests, would analyze, prioritize, and reallocate funds across the organization, ensure all critical needs are met. I'm running for the budget committee because our residents are hurting. We've experienced property tax growth at a rate of 50% over the last 6 years I've been here, which after this current election is likely to grow to 70%. I believe with the right people, we can do better. Some say the solution is to have the state representatives fight to increase the level of state funding for our schools. Regardless if we're talking about local, state, federal funding, there's one common denominator. It's your money they're talking about, not theirs. Raising the level of state contributions won't solve fiscal burdens on our residents. It'll force the state to find revenue elsewhere, passing the cost on to our residents. We need to be responsible at the local level, and that's what the Budget Committee can affect. We need leaders willing to change the current budgeting mindset from automatic budget growth to a method of anticipating and justifying expenses. We need to provide the department heads with reasonable limits, ensuring they live within their means, just like the residents of Goffstown have to. The committee needs to enforce responsible budgeting processes, prioritizing needs over wants without sacrificing critical services that our residents require and the outstanding education our children deserve. If elected to Budget Committee, I'll bring my fiscally responsible attitude, past budgeting experience, and the ability to lead and motivate teams. I'll ensure they manage the rate of budget increase and provide the voters with the transparency in the process they deserve. My name is Craig Stansfield, and I ask for your vote on March 12th. Thank you, good evening, live free or die.
Thank you, Craig. Next up is Alan Eaton.
Well, good evening. Wow, what a crowd. I've lived in this town for 25 years. My wife and I built a house here in 1998. We raised 2 boys here. We have 2 older children. And too many grandchildren, because they come to visit too often. But I'm a fiscal conservative, if anybody knows me. And the answer to this is, I hate spending money. Currently, I serve as a trustee at an organization in Bedford that runs a $10 million assisted living and Alzheimer's clinic and housing. I've formed a construction company in the 80s, a computer mapping company in the 90s, and I still work. I'm 78 years old. And the answer to that question is, we have to look at everything. Nothing is sacred. And when you're doing a budget like I am right now for Bowman Place in Bedford, it's a 100-page document of what they want to do. But the challenge is not to the voters. The challenge is it's the people we hire to run our town to be inventive and conservative about what they and where they spend their money, our money. Now, I've seen taxes on my house go from about $5,000 a year to well over $10,000. And to me, it's not without explanation, but we don't get enough information when it comes down to what we're spending money on. And I hope that everybody is concerned in this room for where our money is spent so that we can continue to live here in Goffstown. My wife was born and brought up here in Goffstown. I met her in Portsmouth, for all purposes. I was born and brought up in New Hampshire, and I left here for 10 years to serve in the military, and I came back here, and I've been an architect in the state of New Hampshire for 51 years. And I've probably done about 6,000 projects here in New Hampshire over that time frame. So, when it comes to money, Bowman Place, I was the initial president of the Board of Trustees. The budget was $44 million. And we were able to get tax exempt from the feds. When they said it would take 8 months, I hand carried it to Washington, and I got it 3 weeks later. So it can be done. And thank you. And I wish for your vote on the 14th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Next is Cemetery Trustee, Bill Cordes.
I didn't prepare remarks, and I think I can keep this well under 4 minutes. I moved up here from Massachusetts. The voice is okay, right? Okay, it's a little hoarse tonight. I moved up from Massachusetts in 1955. I don't mind dating myself, and spent second grade in the where the Mary Lou is in the old Grange, all in Grassmere. And with the exception of 1 year in high school, I went my entire grade school education in Goffstown. I have 2 siblings, and the family has been here for close on to 60 years. And we have a second generation that also went through the school system. I'm asking for your vote for trustee, cemetery trustee. I signed up for it because at the time I was going to sign up, no one had signed up for it. And I have previous 4 years experience on the budget committee, and I remember very, very many times delaying the opening of the budget committee meeting because we had a lack of a quorum. So getting people to fill these offices and not having, a scattering of write-ins here and there is very important. So that's motivated me. Although no family member yet is buried in any Goffstown cemetery, I've walked all of them. I'm familiar with all of them over the years and decades. And as a hobby, I've done genealogy and historical things in cemeteries for years. So I'm not just familiar with the cemeteries, but I'm familiar with the condition of the cemeteries and what it takes to maintain them. And as many people have said, in Goffstown, we're very fortunate in many ways about town governance. And one is the condition that the town has kept the cemeteries in, and that we've been able to expand the space in the cemeteries, as the need arose. So I think that's more than enough that you need to know. I'm not necessarily endorsing Tim McKinnon, but if you vote for him instead, that's just fine with me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next up for a library trustee, first up is Joe Alexander.
All right, good evening. This is a great crowd. This is really exciting. So thank you to the Lion Club and the Goffstown Public Library for putting this together. Thank you, Diane and staff, for putting this brochure together. Much appreciated. My name is Joe Alexander. I've served on the budget committee specifically this is my 6th year, and I'm running for a 3rd term. 2 of those years on budget committee, I've been chair. Goffstown is growing, and we need candidates with institutional knowledge of big budgets and a fresh perspective in order to guide us in the right direction in the future. And as chair, I've always prided myself in facilitating a respectful dialogue between members. And at times we've had some really heated debate, but I feel like we came together at the end. So it's something to really be proud of. Even though we disagreed, we were respectful about it. I do not wish the budget committee to be a pass-through committee that just rubber stamps budgets. As chair, I believe that the committee has evolved into a check on the select board and the school board, and to make sure that we're being responsible stewards of your tax dollars. And I ask for your vote to remain on the budget committee. The library is a beautiful building, so now I'm going to transition to my other position I'm running for. The library is a beautiful building, and maintaining it should be one of our priorities. That's why, as chair of the budget committee, I increased library maintenance lines so that we can focus on keeping our 100-year-old building in tip-top shape. I'm running for library trustee for 3 reasons, and I ask you to act. A, for accountability. I want more accountability for the library board of trustees and library staff. I want the library staff and board of trustees to use more inclusive languages, and I'm happy to provide instances when they weren't used. And last week, my library card information was released through a 91A request, which is a violation of state law. So I want to make sure that the library, as much as possible, is following the state laws on this information. C is character. I will make sure the library transitions back to a library that's open and inclusive to all Goffstown residents. I will make sure programming put out by the library is targeted, informational, and nonpartisan. And T for transparency. I found doing my research for this position that a lot of decisions are being made buried inside policy and procedure manuals. I just want to make sure that the general public knows exactly what's going on in the Goffstown Public Library, and that I promise, as a library trustee, I'll make sure that every meeting is audio and video recorded so that we have an ability to watch this from home. So with that, I'm asking each and every one of you to act and vote for me for library trustee and budget committee, so we can transition the library back to being a beacon of knowledge for everyone. So I ask for your vote on March 12th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Next up is Brian Campbell.
Good evening. Want to say thank you to the Lions Club. Did someone say they couldn't hear me? Okay, how's that? Better? I'll do my best. Those who know me know that I'm pretty soft-spoken, so I'll try to yell. Thank you to the Lions Club, Goffstown Public Library, GHS for hosting us, and GTV for recording the event. My name is Brian Campbell, and I'm running for the library board, 3-year term. I moved to Goffstown in 2009. My wife and I were starting a family around that time, and we thought this would be a good town with the community and the school system to raise our kids. It's a decision that we've not regretted since. We love this town. Someone said it before, and I'll repeat it. I am not a politician. I do not have a political agenda. I consider myself a moderate. I've been labeled otherwise, but that's okay. Comes with the territory. In my professional life, I'm a project manager, production planner, and scheduler. I've done many projects on remote sites for the DoD and for various space agencies. In regard to the library, last year I was elected to a 1-year term as a trustee, and this year I'm running for re-election for a full term. During the last year, I've gone to seminars in Concord where I've learned various policies and statutes by the New Hampshire Library Board Trustees Association. I've learned from my board mates, put in the work, did the time, and really enjoyed myself. I've enjoyed public events that the library has been a part of, especially the Pumpkin Regatta, the Once Upon a Pie event. One of the things that I'm particularly proud of that we accomplished as a board was that we had a bit of a disappointment when the library expansion was rejected in town. But as a board, we got together, we sort of changed directions and created a plan that addresses immediate needs for the library, including repairs for safety purposes, restoration purposes, as well as ADA compliance. There's still parts of the library that are not ADA compliant. A person in a wheelchair needs help moving around the library. It's unacceptable. We need to do better. I would encourage everybody to vote yes on Article 18, which was recommended by the Select Board and the Budget Committee, unanimously by the Select Board. I'm running again because I consider myself a very strong advocate for the Goffstown Public Library. The amazing people that work there. I'm proud to serve for them and for the town. If you haven't experienced the incredible service that happens at the library, I would encourage you to stop by and experience that for yourself. Also, if you're not sure what kind of programming goes on at the library, I would very much encourage you to go to the website, take a look at either the calendar tab or the services tab. You will find that there is absolutely something for everyone. I'm not only passionate about advocating for the library and its staff, I'm also passionate about the First Amendment rights of both writers and readers. I believe that all challenges to the library should be taken seriously and handled appropriately. I believe, and I'm strongly in support of a policy-driven approach. One of the very important responsibilities of a trustee, not only to advocate for the library and actually support the library, would be to write policies that address concerns and are fair and appropriate without personal opinion or emotional response. We're constantly updating policies for that purpose. In closing, thank you. My name is Brian Campbell, and I'm running for the library board. I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next up is Betty Gibson.
I also thank the Lions Club for putting together this candidate night, and thanks to all of you for attending in person or for watching, and for staying informed about all of the candidates. My name is Elizabeth Gibson, but you can call me Betty. I'm running for a 3-year position on the library board. I currently hold a 1-year position. I'm confident that my first priority as an elected official can be to devote the necessary time and attention to the full demands of the library board. I know libraries to be both places and programs. In Goffstown, we're lucky to have remarkable ones both. If elected, I would have 3 goals for the trustees. Number 1, assess the most pressing needs of our cherished building, listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Although we are not currently going forward with our full renovation, we must take care of this physical space in order to keep it accessible and safe, in good repair. Number 2, I would like to survey residents and library card holders for their opinions on their priorities for the library and its programs. Number 3, we should research and fund any and all opportunities for grants from governmental programs and/or NGOs. Goffstown residents deserve an excellent library. We certainly do have excellence in our programs. We should also have it in the physical space. So yes, I am in full favor of the initiating and funding the Capital Reserve Fund this year. Grants require seed money, and the CRF can provide that, thereby saving us all in the long run. Remember, the library saves us all a lot of money. I hear people's concerns about taxes. The library, as a whole, last year, saved the town of Goffstown $2 million. $2 million. You'll note that that is exactly 10 times as much as we're asking for in the Capital Reserve Fund. So much is available to us at no cost. Print books, e-books, audiobooks, interlibrary loans, museum passes, curated digital resources, candidate booklets, all provided by the library. Using the library saves us money. I earned a master's degree in library science in 1972 from the University of Michigan. I've been professionally employed as a librarian for almost 50 years. I've spent a lot of time thinking about libraries, what they do, how they do it, why they do it. Libraries keep citizens warm, safe, healthy, entertained, educated, hydrated, connected. Democracies must have open access to accurate, current information. Our library has been vital to Goffstown. I'd like to help it stay that way. The current board has worked well together. I encourage you to re-elect this crew. Thank you for your vote.
Hey, thank you, Betty. I just want to note, there was a few people who came in after we started. I don't know if they're candidates or not, but just to let everyone know, after I call the very last candidate who checked in with me to speak, I always do ask if there's any candidates in the audience who did not have a chance to speak. We make sure that every candidate who is here this evening will, so we'll do that. So next up, library trustees. 2 for 2 years, and first person is Judy Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming, and all of you that are at home listening. Thank you to the Lions Club and to the library for having us all here tonight. Because for me, it's finding the candidates that match my values, and I'm sure your values is important. Currently, I serve as a library trustee alternate. I have learned a great deal about what it takes to run a library, and believe me, I know I have a great deal more to learn. Goffstown is so lucky to have a prize-winning, award-winning library and director right here in our town. But I have one main reason why I'm running for the library trustee position, and it's very simple. I love the library. 35 years ago, my husband and I moved to Goffstown with our 2 young daughters, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And one of the first things that I did is we went to the library, and my daughters each got to pick out 5 books each. And of course, being a responsible parent, I made sure that the books were age appropriate. So together, when we got home, we read about love, we read about kindness, we read about having tolerance for each other. We learned a lot about animals, and boy, did we take adventures through reading those books. We also attended story time and took advantage of the museum passes, which those of you who have children, next week is a great week to take advantage of those passes because you can go to the Boston Children's Museum for free, the Science Museum, the Boston Aquarium, Strawberry Banks, and many, many more. Just check out the library. Today, my husband and I continue to use the library, though a little bit different because our children are older. My husband, who's an avid reader, checks out a book 2 to 3 times a month. But for me, I love listening to audiobooks when taking daily walks with my dog. I take advantage of this free service called Hoopla. And if you haven't heard about it yet, I recommend you check it out. Because you can not only download audiobooks, you can download books, you can download movies, TV shows, and music, all for free. Thank you, Goffstown Public Library. One time, I went to pick up my granddaughters in Nottingham who had just come back from the movie Encanto, and they wanted nothing more than to listen to the soundtrack of Encanto on the way home. So they said, Nana, can you just download that for us? I was like, oh, I'm never going to listen to this again. So I thought, oh, let me check out Hoopla. And sure enough, There it was. So I downloaded it on my phone, and my kids got to listen to it, my grandchildren got to listen to it all the way to my house. See, I love the library because for me, it's a really magical place. What concerns me now is how libraries across the United States, across New Hampshire, and in our own town are under attack. And my goal as your library trustee is to ensure our library, which I believe is one of the crown jewels in our town, is preserved for all residents from childhood through adulthood. I am a fiscal conservative. I've always lived below my means. I'm a big saver for those unforeseen expenses that come up, like replacing our furnace or the roof, cars or health bills. Money is always there, and I've never had to take out a loan because I saved, which is why I support that capital reserve fund. For that exact reason, I believe in the concept of being penny wise and pound foolish. It's better to have saved and not to have to take out a loan and pay interest. As your library trustee, I will do my best to balance the needs of the library with the economic realities that all of us taxpayers, including myself, have to face. My name is Judy Johnson, and I'm asking for your vote for the 2-term library trustee position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Next up is Lisa Mazer.
Hello, everyone. Hi. My name is Lisa Mazer. Thank you for gathering here tonight and online. And thank you to the Lions Club for organizing this year after year. Thank you to GTV, the high school, and the library. In the words of Margaret Fuller, today a reader, tomorrow a leader. I believe 100% that knowledge obtained from reading books growing up made me a better leader and broadened my purview of the world. Transparency and accountability are crucial in any leadership role, and I'm running to bring more of both to the Library Board of Trustees. When elected, I will keep an open line of communication with the community, seeking your input and feedback to shape the library's future. To further accountability, I will ensure that your private library card information is never released to the public, in violation of our 91A-5 law and RSA 201D-11, as it was last week. Someone reached out to the library requesting all of the trustee candidates' personal library card information. They were released by the library, and an admin of a local Goffstown Forward Facebook group then displayed the photos of those private library cards to the general public. That is a huge invasion of privacy, is illegal, and should never have happened. Library trustees and all staff should have been fully aware that the 91A law exempts private library records from being released, and let that Facebook admin know that that personal information is off limits, regardless of that Facebook admin's role in our community or who their spouse is. One of the New Hampshire Library Trustee Association's Code of Ethics specifically says, keep confidential information confidential, and I will make sure it definitely is. I will also be a strong advocate for responsible fiscal management, ensuring that our library operates efficiently while maximizing the value it provides to our community. This would involve a greater level of detail to financial requests that are brought forward from the library to our town ballots. For example, when requesting $200,000 for repairs, the library board should provide exact information on what repairs are needed and financial estimates on what each of those repairs entail. I have received feedback from Goffstown residents that say doing so would better help them trust what their tax money is being used for so they can in turn support it. I have extensive experience in volunteerism and fundraising. I led and organized yearly outreach community events in the inner city of Manchester, in which hundreds of volunteers, NGOs, and city agencies partnered together to fundraise and provide free school supplies, backpacks, and food to thousands of under-resourced children and their families. As part of that event, we also partnered with the Manchester Public Library to host a book drive and provide thousands of free books to students. Everyone involved set political differences aside and came together to focus on connecting families to the right resources and agencies at the right time, which not only provided them with a hand out, but a hand up. I also led dozens of disaster relief trips throughout the USA and over 60 global outreach trips to third world countries such as Africa, India, etc., to work alongside community leaders there. I assisted in clean water initiatives, taught English as a foreign language, and computer literacy to children, worked with women's co-ops to create microloans, start businesses, and so much more. Due to those ongoing outreach and volunteer efforts, I was chosen as one of New Hampshire's 20 outstanding women in 2016. I have many new volunteering and fundraising ideas to bring to the library, which are mentioned in my bio. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve as library trustee, and my vision is to ensure that our library remains a vibrant and inviting resource for everyone in our community. Thank you, and please vote on March 12th.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Next up, Planning Board, Tim Redmond.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone involved with setting this up tonight, Diane and all, and thank you to those watching at home. I did not provide a profile because I was late to the gun to get it done, so I'll kind of touch on it a little bit as we go on tonight. My name's Tim Redmond. I've been a resident of Goffstown for the past 27 years with my wife, Evelyn. We raised our two children, Phil, 37, and Katie, who's now 33, here and gone through the school system. I've been a community volunteer for many years, beginning with the Goffstown Junior Baseball, and I've assisted with the improvements to the junior baseball fields, the Babe Ruth fields at Allard Park, and the Tri-Town soccer fields next to the Lions Field. I've also volunteered with the committee to make the improvements, install the boat ramp at Glen Lake, and improve the waterfront at Glen Lake. I've served on the Economic Development Council. I chaired the Capital Improvement Committee as a planning board member for many years, and I'm currently an elected planning board member and an elected sewer commissioner. I'm here tonight because I'm again running from my elected seat as planning board member. I'll give everyone a very short accounting of how I've been in the planning board. In 2005, I requested and was appointed to be an alternate, and in 2006, after an elected member decided to step down, I was appointed a full membership for the balance of that term. I've been reelected every 3 years since 2006, except for a 2-year hiatus due to my job demands. In 2014, I returned again to fill a position and again became elected, and I've been elected every term since 2015. I'm presently the chairman of the planning board. During my time as a planning board member, I've maintained an excellent attendance record and have learned from other board members, the planning department staff, applicants, and their presenters, and from the public that attend our meetings and who speak at the public hearings about the town's planning process. I would like to continue as a full member of the board because of my participation in all the projects that I've been involved with over the years and that are currently before the board. I'm concerned about how this town will grow and deal with the problems associated with growth. I believe that proper planning considers how the ordinances and regulations apply to the applicant's requests and how they may affect the community and the surrounding area. I've always kept an open mind, weighing all factors and viewpoints, and try to offer common sense decisions on when voting on application. My extensive background in road construction and building construction allows me to provide practical input to the board regarding planning matters related to my experience. In conclusion, I'm asking the voters to support me so that I may be allowed to serve another term on the planning board. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Next up, Supervisor of the Checklist, Marie Morgan.
Okay, can you hear me now? All right. I'm going to win the bingo for this one here. I'd like to thank the Lions, Goffstown Lions, for doing this every year for the candidates and for the community. I'd like to thank the library and the staff for preparing the booklet, putting it on the website, and of course the cute guys at GTV and the one young lady. Thank you too for helping us here today. And of course, this is quite a turnout. I've been to a few of these over the years, and I don't think we've ever had this much people. So, thank you all for coming. A lot of my information is in the booklet, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I will say that we moved here way back in 1997, which seems like a long, long time ago. We raised 2 boys here. Some of you here coached them. I helped some of you actually as a coach. I did serve 1 year on the school board back in 2004. And then they started using the computers. And it's like, forget this. It's like, because I like paper. And I didn't want to do the computer bit. So Scott Gross, it was all his fault. Okay, so 2 years ago, I stood here and I asked for your consideration to be a supervisor of the checklist. I really didn't know what a supervisor did, and there might be a few of you here tonight who don't know what a supervisor of the checklist does. So what I learned was that there's 3 supervisors of the checklist, and the other 2 who are here tonight are super ladies, and I really enjoy working with them. The term is for 6 years. That's longer than the governor, 6 years. And I think the reason is because it probably takes 6 years to learn the ropes. The primary responsibility of the supervisor is to maintain the voter checklist. So when you show up on March 12th to vote and you go into the A to C, D to F, or whatever line you get, they're going to have this big book, they're going to look up your name, and you're going to show them your ID, et cetera, et cetera. So our job is to make sure that the people who come in and apply to vote really are qualified here in Goffstown to vote. Sounds simple, but most of the time it's pretty simple. You show us all your IDs, show us where you live, your tax report, et cetera, and it's pretty certain. Okay, 1 minute. So anyway, we have to learn how to do the database, and then we help out at the elections. And I wanted to give a shout out to Kathy Ball, because, oh my God, she should get the biggest award here, because she can really run a good election. And I just wanted to show you that some of the manuals we have to deal with. Okay, this is the manual I wrote about in the book, 450 pages. And I bet if you tested Kathy Ball, she would get 100. The other thing is the election RSAs. And they put these books out every year because the RSAs keep changing. And sometimes, if you look, you'll find an inconsistency from one definition to another RSA. So anyway, that's what I've learned. Also, I've been working on a checklist for the people who help us at the supervisors, and I want to work on some more checklists for future supervisors and ballot clerks. And the young man here said I'm done. So thank you, everybody. My name is Marie Morgan.
Thank you, Marie. You made Jim's night, just to let you know. Okay, next up, Town Moderator, Rodney Stark.
Hello, everybody. Nice big crowd tonight. I can remember when they used to have these at the Methodist Church, and there would be maybe 20 people or 15 people in the whole room. So this is fantastic, and the Lions Club deserves a lot of credit for putting this together. Thank you, and the library as well with this booklet. And thanks for the use of the school. So anyway, anything that I had to say is in this little write-up. The only other thing I would say of any importance is that I'm glad we got through the last deliberative session. I've been doing this for 44 years, and when it started, we had traditional town meeting, regular town meeting, where you discuss things and amend them and vote on them. Then we jumped on the bandwagon here in Goffstown along with other towns and voted in this Senate bill too, so now it's split up. So we have deliberative sessions and then we have a town meeting. So we got double. Anyway, I prefer the old style myself, but this is what we've got, so we'll put up with it. But Marie just stole my line, actually, because I was gonna speak a lot about Kathy Ball. As a matter of fact, I wrote about Kathy Ball in whatever I put in here. But all the town clerks that I've worked under, and there's been 4 or 5 of them now, have really made my job. I mean, I couldn't do it. And Kathy is widely recognized in the state as a top quality town clerk, and I kid you not. I worked very closely with Secretary of State's office, Dave Scanlon, and before him, all the Attorney General and all those people up there, and they all sing her praises. And of course, whenever I have a question, that's who I go to first. She's the go-to person. And I mean, just think of all the people that are involved. Am I done? Okay. Just think of all the people that are involved in running an election, and this year we got 4 of them. The town meeting, the presidential, and then this one, and then our state primary in September, and then the general in November. So it's a lot of people to organize. And then, so she's calling all these people to line them up to come to work, and then occasionally she gets calls, I can't make it, I'm sick, or I don't feel good. So then she's got to make some more calls. But she does it. She doesn't complain about it. It's her job. So anyway, I was actually born in this town. I don't know how many other candidates that are speaking here tonight were born in Goffstown, but I was. And the building I was born in is torn down. Anyway, if you've been to deliberative sessions, you know that when that was on the ballot, what to do with the Moore General Hospital, and it was a vote to either leave it alone or tear it down, and it got tied. It was a tie vote. Well, the only time that a moderator can vote at a town meeting is when there's a tie vote. So I cast the deciding vote to tear down the hospital I was born in. Now, I don't feel good about that, but it's what happened. Anyway, okay, my time is up. Thank you all for showing up, It's been a great night. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rodney. This year, things were done a little different. Diane sent out all the invitations to the candidates. A lot of them, RSVP'd me back. And I've been doing this for 10 years now. I really can't believe how long it's been. It's been fun. It really has been. But it's interesting. A number of the candidates who wrote back said, I'll be attending. Thank you very much. And you guys been here, you know what's coming next. Are you going to tell your joke for the year? The answer is yes. So all of you will have to sit and listen as we always tell a nice, fun political joke. And this has to do with a United States senator who gets on a plane in Los Angeles that's heading toward Philadelphia. And he's sitting in coach, and the plane's in the air for a short time, and all of a sudden he gets up and he sits in first class. Flight attendant goes up to him and says, you should be in coach. You don't have a ticket for first class. And the senator says, I'm a United States senator. I can do what I want. I am the smartest person on this plane. I will stay right here till we get to Philadelphia. So the flight attendant backs off, gets the head flight attendant to talk to him, and she says, sir, you're supposed to be in coach, not first class. And he says, I'm a United States senator. I can do what I want. I'm the smartest man on this plane, and I'm going to sit right here till we get to Philadelphia. So the head flight attendant speaks to the pilot, tells him what's going on. Pilot gets up, goes over to the senator, and tells him he's supposed to be in coach. And the senator says, I'm a United States senator. I'm the smartest person on this plane, and I'm going to stay in this seat till we get to Philadelphia. The pilot leans over, whispers in the senator's ear, and the senator stands up, very apologetic. Geez, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I apologize. Didn't mean to cause a commotion. He goes and sits back in coach. The flight attendant says to the pilot, what did you say to him to get him to move? And the pilot says, I just told the smartest man on the plane that first class doesn't go to Philadelphia. 0 time. Thank you, Jim. All right. So anyway, and thank you for all those who wrote back. Also, many of you wrote back, said you're going to be here tonight and thanking us. We really appreciate it. This is an important evening, so all our candidates can get up, be heard. So when you go to vote on March 12th, you've heard from a lot of the candidates, which is very helpful. So anyway, moving on. Next, we have the school board, and the first name is Jack Carbonell.
Hello, I'm Jack Carbonell. You may know me from my many years coaching rec soccer or JV soccer at the high school. You might know me from my years of work on the board of Tri-Town Youth Soccer or the board of the Kindness Cures Project. Or you might simply know me as Barbara's son. Now, I am running for school board. My 3 children went through Goffstown school system. I'm running because I believe all students deserve to receive a quality education and a place where they feel safe and valued. I believe that public school system is a vibrant palace of well-rounded learning, a place that has not only helped shape me into a well-rounded, and adjusted, intelligent citizen, but also did the same for my 3 children and their peers. And our district is currently working to educate a couple thousand more open-minded, productive community members as we speak. I believe our schools are not only places where you learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also the place where you learn social skills, learn to grow, share, work with, and have empathy for others. I am incredibly passionate about our schools remaining safe places. Schools are not a space intended to make value judgments about families or children, They are intended to support and develop and create space for all students, poor, rich, with disabilities, neurotypical, straight, or gay, woodworkers, mathematicians, athletes, and theater kids. All kids are our kids. Each and every one is an important part of the patchwork of people that makes our society a dynamic place, and it has always been. When we tear apart the fabric, we not only lose the safe space that allows kids to explore their interests and dreams, we tear apart the very diversity that makes our town a welcoming place for all. The work of school board members is to fulfill the school district's mission and follow its guiding principles, including that we must create and maintain a caring, supportive, rigorous learning environment if the promise of a high-quality education is to be realized. What would I bring to the board? My experience working with nonprofits like the Tri-Town Board of Youth Soccer, the Kindness Cures Project, will help me collaborate with other members to work towards common goals to help our children become productive adults. My extensive youth coaching experience gives me insights into how kids learn and what they need from adults in their lives. And I bring a unique perspective as a widowed father of 3 children in 3 town schools who had to lean on the school village of administrators, teachers, and counselors alike, not only to educate my kids, but to help them cope with the death of their mother. When elected, I promise to work towards crafting and supporting policies that allow the administration and teachers to collaborate and continue to create an environment where students realize the promise of a high-quality education. I also work to keep the school budget as efficient as possible, while also advocating for the state and federal government to adequately fund the mandates they put in place. While I realize the school board has no control over the state's funding, I do believe the school board needs to help shine a light on the strain these funding inadequacies put on property taxes. When I am elected, I will work hard to advocate at all levels for better funding and defend a responsible budget for our schools so the professionals we hire can continue to create caring and rigorous learning environment. I'm highly invested in the community and I'm accessible to all people in it. Ask anyone that knows me. You can trust that I do what I say I'm going to do. Thank you for allowing me the consideration of your vote on March 12th. See more on my page, Jack Carbonneau for Goffstown School Board, or come chat with me any day at Sawyer's.
Thank you, Jack. Next up is Lauren Dukas.
All right. Anyone that's had the pleasure of attending any of my various committee meetings knows that I often have a lot to say, so I'm going to try to keep it to a tight 4. Thank you for the reminder. Hello. I echo the gratitude I've heard my fellow candidates say all night. Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for being here. Hi, I'm Lauren Dukas, and I am running for school board. So, who am I? I am a forthright, dedicated Goffstown resident, a mother of 4, a special educator, a substitute teacher, a former out-of-district school board chair, a volunteer for youth organizations and after-school enrichment programs. I live a life dedicated to service. I am a person who asks, where is the need and what can I do to help? To that end, I ran for and was privileged to be elected to your budget committee in 2021, where I gained invaluable insight into the financial operation of our district. I have toured every school, met with school administrators, and I have served on multiple subcommittees across the town, such as CIP, School Facilities Planning, and the Mountain View Middle School Principal Search Committee. I do my research, and I bring that knowledge to everything that I do. As my budget term ends, I find myself drawn to my core interest, school governance. And I see 3 main areas of concern for our school district right now. My first pressing concern is policy review. A well-supported student grows into a civically minded, responsible member of our community. I therefore champion crafting and upholding policy that supports a safe school environment, that respects and encourages an open exchange of differing beliefs and opinions. My second issue is our growth. Having served on the school board subcommittee for facilities planning, I deeply understand our growth needs. Goffstown continues to attract new residents, and our school district must be ready to accommodate its new populace. Class sizes of nearly 30 in some levels of Maple Ave is not acceptable. There are global options available to us that would repurpose town and school buildings to address our school space needs and alleviate some aging infrastructure in town. We need to actively evaluate and pursue these options. The third major concern I'd have is our staffing. Finding qualified staff remains an immense issue for our district. Even with the passage of the collective bargaining agreement I was privileged to recommend to the voters last year. We will not be able to attract is that my time? No, okay. Whew. Oh, thank you, I was very nervous. We will not be able to attract and retain qualified individuals if their working environments are outdated and overcrowded, not to mention the downstream effect this will have on the quality of our educational offerings. So, why should you consider me for a member of your school board to address these issues? I will use my strong voice to uphold the board's mission and guiding principles of operating a safe, caring, supportive environment that fosters lifelong learning. I will advocate for every student and their space to learn, regardless of what they believe, the holidays they keep, the books they read, or the names they use. I will help to craft and uphold policy that creates opportunity and accessibility while respecting families' rights for their own children. I will use my budgetary oversight experience to craft effective budgets that retain our staff, support our infrastructure, and create excellent educational opportunities. And I will support our long-term planning and continued growth to keep Goffstown a desirable and wonderful place to live. Strong public schools build a strong community. I ask for your vote on March 12th so I may use my unique, multifaceted perspective and wealth of information to continue this good work. Please look me up at Facebook. Please feel free to stop me anywhere you see me for a chat, including after tonight's event. I'm always happy to engage in the community. I really believe our first responsibility as elected officials is to engage with the public, and I'm here to do that for you. Thank you for your commitment to being engaged citizens.
Thank you, Lauren. Next up is Lindsay Lumbo.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for everyone for being here and for the Lions Club for putting this on. My name is Lindsay Lumbo, and I am running for school board. I stand before you today not just as a candidate for the Goffstown School Board, but as a passionate educator and a devoted parent to 2 daughters in this district. My journey in education has been one filled with purpose and dedication, and it is with the same commitment that I seek your support for a seat on the school board. As an elementary school teacher with 20 years of teaching experience, I have had the privilege of witnessing firsthand the transformative power of education. I've seen the spark of curiosity ignite in the eyes of my students, watched as they grow into confident and capable individuals ready to take on the world, or for my students, at least middle school. Every day I'm reminded of the profound impact that quality education has in the lives of our youth. But my dedication to education doesn't end when the school day ends. As a parent myself, I understand the hopes and dreams that we all share for our own children. I know the importance of ensuring that every one of our children has access to the resources and opportunities that they need to thrive. As a member of the school board, I will work tirelessly to advocate for the policies that support the academic success and the well-being of all of our students, while also respecting and upholding the rights of parents to be actively involved in their children's education. I believe that my dual perspective as both an educator and a parent uniquely qualifies me to serve on the school board. I understand the challenges facing our schools from the inside out, and I'm committed to finding innovative solutions that will benefit not only our students, but our entire community. If elected, I will be a voice for teachers, parents, and students alike. I will work collaboratively with stakeholders to address issues such as curriculum development, school funding, and teacher retention. I will prioritize transparency and accountability, ensuring that our schools are accountable to the families that they serve, and that parents have an active and meaningful role in the decision-making processes that affect all of our children's education. I believe in the importance of a strong foundation in traditional academic subjects, such as math, science, history, and literature. These subjects provide students with the knowledge and the 21st century critical thinking skills that they will need to succeed in college, careers, and in life. I will advocate for rigorous standards and curriculum that prioritize that academic excellence and prepare our students for the challenges of the future. But most importantly, I will never lose sight of the fact that our ultimate goal is to provide the best possible education for each and every one of our own children. They are the future of our community, and they deserve nothing less than our unwavering support and dedication. So I ask for your vote, not just for me, but for all of our children, for our schools, and for the bright future that we can build together. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Next up is Virginia Ginny McKinnon.
Hello. I will ask you to bear with me because I am not my usual perky self tonight. Hello, all. Thank you to Diane in the library. Thank you to Lions Club and GTV for putting this on. And thank you to the custodians for all the work that they have done and will continue to do later. I'm Ginny McKinnon. I'm a lifetime resident of Goffstown. I'm married to Mike McKinnon, and we have 3 children and 3 grandchildren, and we all attend Goffstown schools. I'm a recently retired pediatric nurse with many years of working with children and families. My last years of working were with home nursing and taking students to school who wouldn't be able to attend unless they had an RN coming with them and doing their care. This gave me a chance to see a lot about families and how they deal with schools and how that affects schools. My family has always held education as a priority. My 2 daughters are teachers, my 2 sisters are teachers, and also 3 nurses. I started my volunteer work in Goffstown when my daughter was 4 in the Maple Avenue Library that the Goffstown Mothers Club had started so that I could familiarize myself with the schools that my children would be attending. Ongoing volunteering resulted in pursuing a seat on the school board, which led, I have taken this responsibility and time commitment seriously, and I've contributed to it with success. I have been on the PNC, CNE, PNC, the area, the stipend, the negotiation committee, and over time. My interests are history, reading, genealogy. I'm a member of the New Boston DAR, the Goffstown Historical Society, the New Boston Historical Society, an honorary Goffstown Mothers Club member, a New Vestry volunteer. I contribute to PBS for excellent children programming and to various historical museums. I am an independent candidate. I'm a moderate candidate, and I make my decisions for the considering all the needs of all the students involved. I don't have an agenda to follow in my voting decisions. There was, excuse me. It's hard to talk when your mouth's stuck together. There was one situation that we had where there was a trip going to Italy for students. And this happens every other year where there's one trip and then there's another trip, and students and their families know about it. They're very excited about it, and they save up for it. And so there was a vote. We always have to vote because it's a trip out of the country. And it happened that it was just after COVID, so there was a vaccine requirement to it. There was never a vaccine requirement except for you needed a vaccine to get into the country of Italy and the museums and everything else that the students would be doing. So the company, in this case, instituted a vaccine requirement. And so some of the people on the board said no to this trip. And it concerned me because you really have to, if you're in this position, you have to vote for the best things for the students, not your own personal agenda. So I think that's important for people to realize when you're voting. Like, if you want the things to happen for all of the kids in your school and not just these kids or these kids, you have to take that into consideration when you're voting. Boards are more effective when they're composed of people of various strengths, ability, and experiences to be effective. I bring historical perspective to both the town and the school to the group. This is awful helpful in discussions and in thinking out of the box for solutions. I support parents' rights. The opt-out policy has always been in place, and I think it's a good policy. I'm interested in listening to parents' concerns and respectfully refer them to who can assist them per policy and procedure. Oop, I'm up. I'm sorry. I could gab all night, and I'm sorry. You can always catch up with me. I will be having something on Facebook, and I'll be glad to speak to you. I'm usually in Sully's also. So I would be more than glad to speak with you and answer any questions. I've been on the school board for quite a few years, and I think we've done a really good job in improving our education in Goffstown. People want to move here because we have good education here, so I'll give myself a pat.
Thank you, Ginny. Next up. Oh.
It stopped working.
Oh. I'll just talk loud. I know. Yep. Try this. How's that? I'll tell you, you know, that week in electronics school really paid off. Okay. All right, next up is Donna Pinard. Please don't shut the microphone off.
Good evening. My name is Donna Pinard. I'm a lifelong resident of Goffstown. I'm a graduate of Goffstown High School. I have a Master's of Education degree. I am currently still a certified teacher in the state of New Hampshire. I have retired as an employee. I have retired as an employee of SAU 19. Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight. The fact that we actually have contested races, I've lived in this town long enough where there were no contested races, it shows that we have some division in the town. We are divided, people are taking sides. It's great that people say, I want to be a moderate, that's great. But we watch how you vote and then we know. and the deliberative sessions were obvious. I side with the people who are having problems making ends meet with their taxes. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I'm worried about them. I'm very worried about them. But for all of the people in town who have said to me, well, that's just the way it goes. If you can't afford to live here anymore, you'll have to move. I've lived in the same house, 4 houses away from my mother's house, and the same house I'm in now. I have no mortgage. I have no payments. I control the finances in our home, and I know how to handle debt. And that's not because I don't take on mortgages, and that's not because I don't actually take on debt, but I know how to handle debt. I also know how to say no. I have self-control, which allows me. And you might say, okay, well, Donna, you're out of debt, and you don't have any mortgages, and that's because you're old. And I would agree with you. Being old does help. You had that time to get that mortgage gone. However, the same thing that my father taught me, I taught my daughter. My oldest daughter, not married, so on a single paycheck, managed to pay off her house by the time she was 40, and has no car payments, no other payments. She is debt-free because we know how to take on debt, how to handle debt, how to pay it off quickly, and how to be debt-free is freedom. And we care about the people who are struggling. By the way, my daughter, as a side gig, for free, if anybody needs any help, trying to get their expenses under control, she'll help you for free. You know, those people say, well, help you get out of debt for $3,000. She'll do it for free. We're also divided in regards to worldviews. Recently, my husband and I got a puppy, and my 6-year-old grandson said to me, Meme, what did you name the puppy? And I said, Eden. And he said, like the Garden of Eden from the Bible? And I said, yes, buddy, that's exactly the Eden I'm talking about. Yep, that's what we named Eden. I have a Christian worldview. I have a 38, my youngest is 38, my other 2 are in their 40s. I indoctrinated them. I've had all kinds of people in town tell me, you indoctrinated your kids. Yes, I did. Proudly so. God doesn't have any grandchildren, so they all got baptized on their own. So eventually they got to choose, and they all chose. I indoctrinated my kids. That's my parental right to indoctrinate my kids. But as a high school teacher, as a middle school teacher, I didn't bring that to the classroom. I didn't bring my Christian worldview to the classroom. Public schools are to remain neutral. I've had people in town go, well, you seem like really religious, so maybe public schools aren't for you. No! Whatever worldview you have, go start your own school. Because your worldview doesn't belong in the public schools either, just like my Christian worldview doesn't belong there. Go start your own school. Now, I agree that Christians have often exited and gone and started their own school, which makes you all think that that's where they should go. No, it means you go somewhere if you don't like it. That's what it means. So if you want to acknowledge the fact that this town is divided, and you want someone to serve on the board who knows how to say no fiscally and also knows how to say no to worldviews and to keeping it neutral, vote for me. Thank you.
We have someone who knows what they're doing. I failed Switch 101.
Well, you're only there for weeks.
I know. Okay. No.
It's rechargeable.
Okay. Thanks. No. Well, I do. No. Yeah. Okay. All right. You can yell.
Yeah, this is the GTV one. So for those of you that don't know me, I have a pretty loud voice, so we'll give some time for the mic to get switched over. My name's Jared Talbot. I am running for re-election on the school board. Just to let you know a little bit about me, Who am I? I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, I'm a father. I have twin boys that are in 3rd grade. I have a little girl that's 6 going on 16. We all know what that's all about. My wife and I have lived in Goffstown for about 14 years now. We lived 4 years over in Bernardville. Then we moved over to right off Parker Station Road. So we're close to New Boston, stone's throw from there. A lot of construction going on over there right now. It's great. It was really nice living in Bernardville because we did have the opportunity to see Bartlett a lot when we were voting. Very old school, very traditional school. And I will tell you that during that time, there was a lot of games going on and a lot of Super Bowls that were won and a lot of St. A's parties that occurred. So Bernardville was a great place to be. A little bit about me. I am a operations excellence director for a government contractor. I work in the Defense Department, well, not for the Defense Department, but I work as a contractor building a lot of things, making sure that I look at processes, making sure that I put in key performance indicators. How do we know what we're doing in the middle of a budget? How do we know what we're doing at the end of a budget? Are we ahead of schedule? Are we below schedule? What are the levers that we can pull to return to green? Those are the things that I live with every day. Another thing that I do is I am a part-time adjunct professor at the University of New Hampshire. I teach in the business school and decision sciences department. I've been standing all day. I actually gave a test to some of my undergrad students. I also teach graduate students. But I teach statistics. I teach operations management. I teach quantitative decision making. And yes, I teach information systems on how we use technology to supposedly make our lives better. Some of the things that I've worked at the school board is we're looking for my 3rd term. I've served 6 years. 5 of those I've been predominantly in the budget committee, advocating for the school board. I see many, many, many people that I've worked with in the budget committee. We've had some great conversations. Part of my job as that advocate of the school board is putting what the school board wants first, even though I disagree with it. I've done that many times for our capital reserve fund. I agree that we need to be able to replace our assets. However, I think that it should be raised by taxation. We use the term unreserved fund balance. That will offset taxes if we actually return it to the taxpayers. It says right in the brochure, it says right in the guide, this will not be raised by taxation. It doesn't affect taxation. That is wrong. That is money that's already been collected, and we want to retain it and use it for something that you have not voted on. I don't agree with that. I always want to put things to the votes and to the voters to make sure that we actively participate in what we want. I've done some collective bargaining agreements. 2 years ago, I was part of the teachers' collective bargaining agreement where we looked at making sure that we had the ability to retain great teachers. We didn't bring in teachers, and after 3 or 4 years, they left us for greener pastures and higher pay. I wanted to make sure that I worked with the administration, 2 other school board members, and of course the unions to make sure that we had the right pay for our teachers. The next year, I worked on our support staff, so those paras, those custodians, making sure that they also had the pay they deserve for the work that they did during COVID. All of those were approved by the taxpayers. I was also part of the committee that brought in Jess Milligan as our vice principal. I will say that Lauren did a great job during that. I worked with her on that as well as in the budget committee for some items, but I was happy to bring Jess home to Goffstown. She was our vice principal at Maple. I'm glad that she came back to the middle school. I was also the facilities needs chair, working in Goffstown, looking at our students, looking at our capacity, making sure that we had the space in order to have our students present. My name is Talbot. I believe in the three T's: truth, transparency, and trusted. Those are the things that I always look for. And I will tell you, if I am blessed to be reelected on the school board, there will be a vote coming up. What do we do with our current 4th graders at Maple? There's too many. Are we going to move them to the MVS? If we do, I will only vote for that based on everybody moving or a volunteer basis of those parents that want their kids to be at MVMS. I think that is important that our parents have a say in what they do for their students and for our children. Thank you for your time. Please vote for me for re-election. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Next up, the school district monitor. James, do you feel comfortable without a mic? Okay. Yeah, well, we could wait till they fix it. That might be the next candidate's night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I run again. I'm Jim Raymond. I'm running for re-election for the school district moderator. I've been doing it for a few years. One of the benefits of being school moderator is you also get roped into being assistant town moderator at the election. So I echo what Rod said about Kathy Ball. Well, she puts rings in our noses and leads us around. But I wanted to make, since I don't have to campaign very hard, a few observations. I don't know how many of you saw the recent movie Napoleon. I hope you did. It's both a love story, but it also played up the conflict in styles between the Duke of Wellington and Napoleon. And the Wellington beat Napoleon's army in the Peninsula Campaign, and then at Waterloo, one of the things that Wellington advocated, enforced, was good order. Why? Good order among his troops. It increased efficiency, it minimized risk. Hold on to that thought. We hear a lot of references to the Constitution. People like to pull it out of their shirts and wave it for all sorts of things. The writers of the Constitution were well versed in Enlightenment political theory, John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, who talked about rights, natural rights for Locke, but also duties and responsibilities. They tie together, they're not independent. And in order to have an orderly society, and this is what Locke wrote and Hobbes wrote in their own ways, you have to have both. Elizabeth, where is she, who talked at her, brought up the theme of the importance of local government. We forget this in a presidential election year. But if you think most services, protections, benefits we get from government are local: fire, police, school, snowplows, trash pickup, public safety. That's local government at work. Think what affects you more. So the question is, how do we make local government work effectively? Well, we've hit on some of it. Rights and duties, responsibilities, good order. How do you do that? If you come to my meetings, you'll see I do insist, and I will continue to insist, on good order, civil discussion, respect for people's views. But I'm going to emphasize good order because, as Wellington taught us, that's how you get efficient operations. It breaks down if you don't. But we've seen at recent meetings and in other towns that doesn't always apply, and many of those towns fail. So I think it's important that we teach our fellow citizens that those values remain important despite all the politicization, the polarization, and the noise we're hearing. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Are there any candidates here who did not get a chance to speak this evening? Okay, very good. You know, it is not easy to stand up in front of a crowd, and I want to applaud all our candidates here this evening who came up here with and without a microphone to address everyone. If we could have a round of applause for all of them. You know, someone said to me recently, it was meant as a compliment, had to do with candidates night, and the comment was, you know, it looks easy. And actually, I thought that was a great comment, and I'll tell you why. when something looks easy, it's because there's a lot of people behind the scenes making it look easy, doing a great job so that the night of the event, everything goes nice and smooth. And I want to acknowledge the people who made this look easy tonight. First of all, the Goffstown School, Laurie, who helped set everything up. She was just fantastic. GTV, again, they're always a pleasure to work with. Most of the time. No, this has nothing to this has nothing to do with them. Their microphone is working. Also, Diane at the library, putting together the brochure, contacting all the candidates. Thank you very much for this evening. And finally, the Lions Club. I know they've only been thanked like 17 times tonight, but that's okay. It's a great group of people. I want to thank them for all they do and for allowing me the opportunity to be up here. Every year, I do enjoy this. I do get a kick out of it. But I also think it's very important that the citizens of Goffstown get to hear their candidates and the people who are running and what their opinions are on the different issues of Goffstown. I want to leave you with a little bit of a fun story. You know, over the summer, a lot of you may have noticed on South Mass Street, they were doing a lot of digging up sidewalks, a lot of different construction. That was a very small area to work in. My house was right there, right in the middle of all that. And one of the flagmen that I used to see every day, I went out there one morning, and as I approached him, I could kind of tell by his demeanor, you know, oh boy, what's he going to complain about? And I went up, I said, I just want to let you know, you guys are doing a great job here. Well, he was just like stunned, you know, and he said, oh, thank you. I said, this is a tough situation here. It's a small area. There's a lot of traffic there in the morning, especially at 7:30 in the morning, trying to get through that area. When there's no construction, it's difficult. But the people working there did a great job. I called Town Hall. And I spoke to actually his supervisor. And I said my name, I gave the address I live at, and of course immediately I heard, oh. He's like, I said, well, wait a second. I said, I'm calling as a compliment. Oh, we never get those. I said, well, you're getting one now. Your crew's doing a great job, you know, where they're working. And he was, well, thank you very much. We usually get calls, but not like that. But I guess kind of the moral of the story, a lot of things get done in town. We just take them for granted. We don't look at the people behind them that are making some good things happen. And that's why I think it's important. You'll always hear this idea in the retail business, in the retail world. There's a lot of calls. People call stores. Usually it's never to compliment. It's always the other. And they get very, very few calls from people who are complimenting. So I think it's really important to acknowledge all the people in our town, all the town employees, and everything they do to make our life a lot simpler. And so we can go about our business on a daily basis. So I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. Like I said, if the candidates can stay a few minutes, we still have a little time. But again, you've been a great audience, very much appreciated. And next year, I promise, we'll get batteries. The Lions Club's going to spend a lot of money on this. So everyone have a good, safe evening. Yes. Oh, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.